Okay, let's dive right into this. You ever notice how sometimes the simplest, most obvious idea just completely explodes online? It's usually because it hits on some universal truth we all kind of feel, but nobody's really put into words yet. Well, that is exactly what happened with a concept called the let them theory.
And when I say explode, I mean it. In less than a single week, one video explaining this theory pulled in over 14 million views. I mean, wow! When an idea hits a nerve like that, you know it's tapping into something really deep for a lot of people.
And it all kicks off with this simple, super relatable idea. But, this isn't really just about brunch. It's the doorway into this powerful mental model for letting go of all that daily stress and anxiety that comes from trying to control stuff we just can't.
So, what is this theory exactly? Why did this one little idea resonate with so many people? Let's unpack it.
The best way to really get the let them theory is with a really powerful metaphor. Just imagine you're in a tiny boat, and you're paddling against this really strong current. This one image, it unlocks the whole thing.
So, at its core, the let them theory is a choice you make. It's the practice of just stopping the fight. You're no longer trying to force an outcome or make people do what you want them to do. Think of it as your new favorite tool for detachment.
Psychologist Dr. Amy Johnson has this great comparison. She says our need to control everything is like paddling upstream. It's just exhausting, right? It's a constant fight. The let them approach is as simple as dropping the oars. The boat just naturally turns and starts floating peacefully downstream. It's a huge shift from frustration to a sense of ease.
Okay, so the theory sounds great, but how do we actually use it in our messy, everyday lives? Let's break down 3 ways you can start putting this mindset to work, like today.
First up, and maybe the most common one, is using it for emotional detachment. This is all about finding instant peace by unhooking yourself from things that honestly are not your business or within your control anyway. Just think about this. You show up at a wedding, you're all excited to see your friends, and then you see the seating chart and realize you're clear across the room. Your first instinct is to feel hurt, right? Maybe even try to sneakily switch the place cards? But the let them approach says, hey, it's their wedding. Let them have the seating chart they wanted. The second you truly accept that, all that negative energy just dissolves.
All right, now for the second application, and this one can be a little tougher. It's all about stepping back and giving other people the space they actually need to learn, to grow, and to take responsibility for themselves.
Here's a bit of a hard truth. When you're constantly rescuing people, you're sending this subtle message that you don't think they can rescue themselves. If you let your kid deal with the consequence of forgetting their lunch one time, they learn to remember it. If you let a friend face the fallout from their own choices, they learn from it. See, this isn't about being cruel. It's about allowing them to build their own strength and resilience. And that brings us to our third application, which is often the most difficult one of all. It's letting people be exactly who they are, right now, without you trying to change them.
This one is just huge when it comes to relationships. You have to ask yourself, are you with the person who's actually standing in front of you, or are you in love with their potential? When you're constantly trying to change someone, wishing they were more ambitious or healthier or whatever, you're not seeing the reality of the situation. The moment you finally just let them be who they are, you see them with total clarity. And only then can you make a clear decision about whether that reality works for you.
Okay, this is so important. The let them theory is an amazing tool for finding peace, but it is not a rule for every single situation. It has some really critical exceptions, and you absolutely have to know when not to use it. There are 3 key areas where this theory is a hard no. First, if someone is in danger, say trying to drive drunk, or if you witness discrimination, you have to intervene. You do not let them. Second, when it comes to advocating for yourself, like negotiating your salary, you don't just passively take whatever's offered. No way. You fight for what you're worth. And finally, if someone is violating your personal boundaries over and over, you don't just let them. You enforce those boundaries clearly and firmly.
So how can you make this a real, practical part of your life? Well, let's give you a simple little toolkit. The next time you feel that urge to control or to fix something, just pause and ask yourself these 3 questions.
First, what am I afraid of? Seriously, when you actually dig into the fear that's behind your need to control, you often realize it's, not that rational. Are you afraid your son's prom is going to be ruined because his friends want to go to a taco joint instead of some fancy restaurant? When you say it out loud, you realize how silly it sounds, and that fear just starts to lose its power over you.
Second question, whose business am I in? This one is a total game changer. It immediately pulls the focus back to the only person you can ever truly control, yourself. If you're upset about not being invited to something, you're in their business. Your business is figuring out why it bothers you and what you can do about creating the kind of life you want for yourself.
And finally, ask yourself this: what feels more like peace? Use this as your internal compass, your North Star. Does trying to force your friend to go to the gym with you feel peaceful? Probably not. It feels like conflict. Does accepting their decision and going by yourself feel peaceful? Yes. Your own peace of mind, that should always be the goal.
And really, that's what this whole thing is about. When you give somebody else the freedom to be who they are, to make their own choices, you're not just giving them a gift, you get a gift in return. And that gift is your own peace.